Y10K fractured. Chapter 7. Percipian, master huntsman of Amberset House, had been given a simple order: find food. The quake had spared much of the county, but not all. A community smokehouse had burned, taking much of the winter stores with it. Count Amberset, more decisive than his father had ever been, had set the able-bodied to repairs and sent Percipian into the wilds. Meat was needed, and so far he had found none. The Wilex trail he had followed vanished at a brook. He searched the far bank. Nothing. By the time he realized where he had drifted, the edge of Aryan Wood loomed nearby. He swore under his breath and turned away. That was when he heard it. A low, broken sound. He stilled, ears turning, tracking. There, again. Fainter. Percipian moved toward it, careful, silent. He found the source in a shallow depression in the snow. A body, clothing torn nearly to rags, a pack still strapped across the back. He nudged the figure lightly with the tip of an arrow. No response. Breath barely visible. Frozen, Percipian muttered. He worked quickly. Bow stowed, sword drawn. Nearby branches cut and lashed together with twine into a crude frame. His cloak became the sling, a stretcher. The foal, no, not a foal, older, 16, perhaps 17, was lifted and secured, wrapped as best he could manage. Then Percipian ran. He reached Amberset House as the light faded and carried his burden straight inside, to the nearest fire. The study. The Count was there, seated near the hearth with a glass of warm Lacert milk. "What have you brought me?" Count Amberset asked, setting it aside as he rose. "Found him near Aryan Wood," Percipian said, "near frozen through." The Count stepped closer, studying the unconscious figure. "This is far more interesting than the sky," he said. Percipian blinked. "Milord?" "Nothing to concern yourself with," Amberset replied almost absently. "Some natural display. Unusual lights, falling stars." His attention never left the stretcher. "This, however," he straightened. "Fetch my cousin. He's in the guest suite. Dr. Antrax." Percipian nodded, and then returned to the hunt. The Count added, "I'll open the granary at first light, but the people will need meat." "Yes, milord." Percipian moved at once, delivering the message and leaving the physician to his work. Only when he stepped back outside did he think to look up. The sky had quieted. A few stray shooting stars traced brief paths through the dark. Nothing more. Nothing, it seemed, out of the ordinary. "Good evening, cousin." Marcus was already kneeling by the stretcher when Dr. Antrax entered, black bag in hand. "I see you came prepared." "When your huntsman tells me there's a frozen patient in your study," Antrax replied, setting the bag down with precise care, "I find preparation advisable." He knelt without further comment. "Assist me," he added. "Record." Marcus rose, took pen and paper, and returned. Antrax drew a measured breath. 16th day of Tarsanor, year 1091, in the reign of their co-regent majesties King Taurus and Crown Prince Jabriel. Attending physician Dr. Antrax, Count Ceruleum. Marcus glanced up. "You're examining a patient, not drafting a legal brief." I keep proper records, Antrax said, already at work. Be ready. He began gently easing the young stallion from his curled position. Adolescent male, he continued, voice steady, almost clinical. Approximately 16 to 17 summers. General condition, adequate. Primary concern, hypothermia. Clothing insufficient for environmental exposure. There's a pack, Marcus said. Yes, remove it. Together they worked it free. It was heavier than it looked. Marcus set it aside and resumed his place. Antrax continued his examination. Methodical, efficient. No fractures, no dislocations, wings intact, responsive to manipulation. He paused, studying the patient more closely. Core temperature improving, he said at last. He is cold, but not beyond recovery. Marcus let out a quiet breath. Treatment? Warmth, Antrax said. Gradual. No hot immersion. Dry garments. Rest. He closed his bag with a soft click. By morning he should be able to answer questions. Marcus nodded and rang for the servants, relaying the instructions without alteration. The patient was carried out carefully. Silence settled once the door closed. Marcus turned to the pack. Well, he said, let's see what our mystery brought with him. Antrax did not move from his seat by the fire. Proceed. Marcus lifted the pack, turning it in his hands. Strange material, he muttered, running his fingers over it. Coarse, rigid. His hand found a small metal tab. He pulled. A soft, smooth sound, unfamiliar, split the seam cleanly open. Marcus paused. Remarkable, he said, testing it again. A closure without ties or buckles. Efficient. Antrax's patience thinned. Contents, Marcus. Yes, yes. Marcus reached inside and drew something out. It was solid, dense, unfamiliar. I don't know what this is. He turned it over in his hands, then set it on the desk. It opens, he added, unfolding it, like a book, but no pages. Only a dark, reflective surface, and something else beneath. They both stared at it. Minutes passed. I believe, Antrax said at last, His Majesty should be informed. Marcus glanced toward the window. Not tonight. It's too cold to send anyone. Agreed, Antrax said. His gaze remained fixed on the object. Then secure both the patient and this. He paused. There is more here than it appears. Marcus gave him a look. You think? Yes. Then we agree for once. Marcus moved to his desk, folded the object, and slid it into a concealed drawer. It barely fit. Guards, he said, at the door and inside. I would recommend it, Antrax replied. Marcus crossed to the wall and lit the overhead lamps. Firelight gave way to a steady glow. The room felt smaller for it. Neither stallion said anything further. Ericor drove the peasants off with brutal efficiency. They had come at him wild-eyed and desperate, but whatever courage they had brought with them shattered quickly. Between the quake and the burning sky, they were already half undone. It didn't take much to send them running. Silence followed. Ericor turned back to the ruins. He moved through the broken halls at an unhurried pace. stepping over splintered beams and fallen stone. The work had already been done for him. He found the first body near what had once been a receiving chamber. A lord of the court, dead, not alone. The second lay further in, throat opened, sprawled across shattered marble. The third had made it as far as a corridor before being cut down. The fourth? Ericor paused over him. There had been a fight here. Several of the house guards lay nearby, their weapons still in hand. They had not gone quietly. Neither had the Lord. Ericor straightened. 4 lords of the court, dead. Peasant work, raw, direct, no finesse, no restraint, but effective, very effective. He continued on. There was one absence. Java. Ericor's expression shifted, just slightly. He nodded once. Of course. He knew exactly where Java would be. And if he didn't, he knew where to begin looking. Ericor turned away from the bodies. There were other matters now.